You check your phone and see a billionaire on a private jet. You pull up to a traffic light and stare at a sleek, matte black supercar, revving its engine next to you. You pass a massive mansion hidden behind iron gates. You probably think this is exactly what wealth looks like. But the real answer is far stranger. It turns out that everything you have been taught about being rich is a psychological illusion. Most people mistake spending for wealth. You see someone drop $100,000 on a luxury watch and your brain immediately registers them as wealthy. Yet from a pure mathematical standpoint, they are simply $100,000 poorer than they were a moment ago. Wealth is not what you spend. It is the invisible buffer of assets you choose not to spend. Why is this distinction so incredibly hard for our modern minds to grasp? Our evolutionary history left us completely unequipped for the modern financial system. For 99% of human existence, your ancestors lived in small, hunter-gatherer bands. In those environments, status was entirely visible. If you were a great hunter, you wore the animal skins and shared the meat immediately. Storing value for the future didn't exist because food would spoil. Your brain evolved to signal status through immediate, outward display. Can you blame your instincts for wanting to show off? Dr. Thomas J. Stanley, a sociologist who spent decades studying the affluent, uncovered a shocking paradox. In his landmark research, he discovered that the vast majority of actual millionaires do not live in glamorous penthouses or drive luxury sports cars. They live in quiet, middle-class neighborhoods and drive used, reliable sedans. He famously categorized people into two groups: those who have high net worth but low outward display, and those who have high display but a net worth close to zero. Which group are you currently chasing? The reality of money is dictated by a simple psychological trap. Wealth is the option value of money that has not yet been converted into stuff. It is the freedom to wake up in the morning and realize you can do whatever you want today. It is the security of knowing that an emergency cannot destroy your life. When you spend money to show people how much money you have, you are actively destroying the very thing you claim to want. How did we become so blind to this reality? Behavioral expert Morgan Housel famously studied this phenomenon and concluded that compounding is the most counterintuitive force in human psychology. Your brain understands linear growth perfectly. If you pick 10 apples today and 10 apples tomorrow, you have 20 apples. But your mind cannot naturally calculate the exponential growth of invested capital. When money is left alone to grow silently in the background, it transforms from a static pile of cash into a living, breathing machine that generates its own energy. Why do we constantly interrupt this silent engine? We interrupt it because our culture treats money as an emotional scoreboard. You buy things you do not need with money you do not have, to impress people you do not even like. This is not financial behavior. It is an anthropological status game. You are using a modern invention, currency, to solve an ancient prehistoric problem: the fear of being left at the bottom of the social ladder. True wealth is completely invisible to the naked eye. It is the stock portfolio you never see. It is the real estate investments quietly collecting rent. It is the business equity accumulating value while the owner sleeps in a plain white t-shirt. You cannot take a picture of an index fund and post it on social media to make your friends jealous. Because it is invisible, we pretend it doesn't exist, choosing instead to worship the flashy illusion of debt. Look back at the supercar at the traffic light. The person behind the wheel might be a millionaire, or they might be trapped in a soul-crushing cycle of 7-figure debt just to keep up appearances. Their engine is loud, but their freedom is entirely gone. They're working 80 hours a week at a job they hate just to pay for the metal box they are sitting in. Is that actually what you want? The next time you see someone displaying massive luxury, do not assume they are wealthy. Remind your ancient, status-seeking brain that you are looking at a display of consumption, not wealth. True richness is the gap between your ego and your income. It is the silent, unspent capital that grants you total ownership over your time and your choices. You check your phone and see a billionaire on a private jet. You pull up to a traffic light and see a sleek supercar revving its engine next to you. But the real reason you can drive away with a calm, quiet smile is because you finally understand that the richest person in the world is the one who completely owns their next 24 hours.